Namaste. We have Mahesh Ji with us. Come, sir. Question that could be in the minds of so many people. Do you think Hindus lack unities? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think Hindus lack unity. It's been sadly been part of our culture.
Can you elaborate what do you mean by part of the culture, sir?
Yeah, so for example, if you look back at history of India or Hindus, specifically, we've lost war. We have had invaders, even the Britishers when they came. We always had characters in the history which where people snitched, or I wouldn't call it rebelled against, but they didn't want to go with the majority for personal reasons or whatever reasons. But
don't you think that's a universal phenomenon? Like for example, there are battles fought in Europe or fought in the Gulf, or even we always had people from a community collaborating with the invaders. Isn't that an universal phenomena, or is it something which is unique or more prevalent in the Hindu culture? What do you think?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. I think I would like to talk about India, our history, our culture, because I'm aware of it. It's probably prevalent. We don't know. And I'm sure it is prevalent, because otherwise there won't be wars in other parts of the world or fights amongst communities or things like that. But I am more familiar and I can only talk about what I know. So I would like to say, even, if wherever you go, and give you another example, as an executive director of a not-for-profit organization, we did a food drive for homeless people, and when we worked with another community organization, we had 50 volunteers that signed up in 15 minutes. And when it came to cooking at a temple for with Hindu group, we didn't find any. So why is that? Why is that? Why are not people, Hindus, not so confident of supporting each other, helping each other? Is something that is at the back of my mind all the time, because I work so much. Seva is something that's very important, and if you are looking for salvation, or if you in our religion or culture,
that's the point I want to. I think you opened up a very relevant point. You think on the term what you used, salvation, you think it's highly individualistic and selfish in nature?
I think so. I mean, we want salvation, but we don't want to do all the efforts to get there. So that's something we think if we blindly follow religious events or religious steps, then we get salvation. I think we have to differentiate between spirituality and religion. You have to be spiritual, you have to be a person before you can get salvation. So let's take salvation as a whole. Probably all the religions say, if you do this, you get salvation. Whereas if, as a human being, you do good to others and you do help others and things like that, you can attain salvation. Religion is man-made, but spirituality is what you're born with.
So this quest for salvation, you think that is making Hindus move away from community service or supporting each other or trying to be more selfish in their pursuits?
Yeah, so I wouldn't call it selfish. It could be situational. So, for example, when we came here, we had two little kids, and they had their own things to do, take them to music class, karate class. At that time, I didn't have much time to offer service or do seva. But now that they are grown up, I can spend my time. But I did not stop. Even when they were kids, I didn't stop doing seva. I used to go to temple and do some, offer food, or whenever we get an opportunity, we try to do
I
seva.
would use the same argument back. Say, it's the same situation for other communities. Whether it is, we have people working very hard in other communities. Like it could be Muslims, it could be Sikhs, it could be Jews, it could be Christians. They also go through the same situation, right? Like they have family, they have career, they have, responsibilities, and in spite of that, we see it appears like they are able to allocate some time for seva even when they are in their youth.
Yeah.
Now, how do you see that?
So that's another very interesting question. You hit the nail. So I always use the term, our gods are adjustable gods.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is, if you take any other religion, they go to church, whatever happens, every Sunday they are at the church. Some religions are at the mosque every Friday. Probably the Jews also go to their temple on Sundays. Tell me how many families take their kids and go on a Sunday to a temple, or on a religious day. How many families really put that effort?
Where do you think is the challenge? Is it the temple which is not welcoming them the way they expect to be welcomed, or is it the home? The parents feel that or where do you think is the core the challenge?
So I think it's both. A temple or a religious institution has its doors are open all the time, or during the day, let's say. People walk into the church, people go into the temple, people go into, mandirs, offer their seva or bow, and just ask for, things like that. So I don't think temples have to really send out an invitation for you to come.
No, what I mean is, like, when a person goes to the temple, you feel the temple environment is in such a way that it encourages people to come, or do you see them more of a political nature, they are fighting within themselves or something like that, and you really don't feel welcome? You go there, and is it the same for kids? Do they have something to make the kids welcome?
Yeah. So here is an interesting aspect. So I met a lot of spiritual people by accident. So I'll tell you, it was raining heavily on one day on Shepherd Avenue, and I was coming back from work, and my son was at piano class, and it was raining very heavy, and we didn't have an umbrella, at that time. And I just came from work, and I heard cars constantly honking, because there was a car that had a breakdown, and it was in the middle of the street, and nobody was helping that person. So I ran. I said to my wife, I'm going, and I'm going to help this person. And I went and opened the door. There was a Swaminiji in a car, stuck, and she didn't know what to do. And so then I said, first, let's open the trunk to tell people that this car is broken down, and we'll try to figure out some way of getting a tow. And I called CAA, and I said, please come and tow this car. And we towed it to the parking lot and stuff like that. So I met spiritual people like that. And one of the things it always takes me back to, if you look at during school days, we used to be taken to temples, and faraway temples, by bus. Why? Because these temples were constructed at areas where they had the maximum positive energy.
Yeah, okay.
So when you go there, you feel a self-satisfaction and a positivity and all that.
And do you feel that is missing in Canada?
Yes, here it is a business. So I met one of the pundits who used to give tirtham at the temple, and I said, when you're offering tirtham, you're supposed to say a mantra, correct? And he heard me say it, and he was like, oh, how do you know this mantra? And I said, you're supposed to be saying it, not me. But he said, the owner of the temple says, I have to push people away so that, they cannot wait in line. I don't have the time because it's become a business.
Yeah.
So here temples have become a business. So so that is why people are hesitant to go to a temple.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So this.
And that, would you believe, has an important aspect to decide, or it has an impact on the unity of Hindus?
I don't think so. I don't think so. If parents, I have parents who say, my son is sleeping, he came home tired, he had too much homework on Saturday, so he can't get up on Sunday morning to go to the temple. But I'm sure if it was a picnic, the kid would have also woken up and the parents would have also taken him against his wishes and gone out. So I think when it comes to religion and spirituality and things like that, we make excuses.
So you mentioned the very interesting term that our gods are adjustable gods. And are we pushing it too far?
No, we are not. That's the problem. There is nobody to push.
No, are we pushing the adjustability?
Oh yeah, for sure. So as this was one example where we are not ready to go to the temple because the kid is tired or parents are tired or
And
whatever.
the temple also is not
Welcoming. I mean, what can you do? I mean, some temples offer free lunch on Sundays or prasadam. You go, you don't have to cook at home. What more do you want them to do? Do you want them to come and pick you up from your home? No, they're providing you food. There's an environment. Kids have, how do you transfer the knowledge that is there, like bhajans and, stotrams and these bhajans and stotrams are not just for chanting. It adds value to your life and memory. People have seen, you chant Om or Gayatri mantra. It enhances your memory. It makes you feel good. So I'll give you another example of yoga. How many Hindus practice yoga?
Very good question.
How many people say, "Oh, I know yoga. I want to learn it." When it came from the West. When all these people started doing yoga, now everybody wants to do yoga. Okay. So we don't own what belongs to us.
So how do we address this challenge of unity? For example, you say there's an event happening and then there's not much of Hindu audience. And you need something for a cause and there's not much of Hindu audience. I also heard that on election day, many Hindus don't even go to cast their vote, which is actually a much stress-free experience in Canada. It is much more organized. You just walk in, have a chat, cast your vote in a pleasant environment and come back. They don't even the numbers are very minimalistic. So where do we start to fix this challenge of Hindu apathy or lack of Hindu unity? Where do you think, in your opinion, we should make a course correction? Is that even going to happen in the first place?
It will probably happen, but it won't probably happen in my generation. I don't think I'll be able to see that kind of unity, but I don't want to give up because assuming that it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Somebody has to take a step forward. It could be you, it could be me, it could be somebody else. We all need to support that individual. So we always look at, Mahesh is doing this, so I don't want to support him, or X is doing this, we don't want to support him.
So is it because they don't trust each other?
Yeah, so the trust is a problem, right?
Why would trust be a problem? What is suppose, for example, say you do something or I do something, why would people not trust me?
Yeah, so there are two things to look at it when trust comes into picture. One, you have to be confident of yourself to trust somebody else. Okay, so what I mean by that is, for example, if you're an accountant and I'm an accountant, so if we meet, we can talk on the same topic, and then you have trust. If I don't know something, I don't know accounting, and you tell me, "Oh, Mahesh, if you add 1 + 1, it's 3." I believe you, I trust you, but it could be wrong. So then somebody else is going to say, "Mahesh, you shouldn't have believed him. It's 1 + 1 is 2."
Okay. Now on this subject, now we are talking. Say we are doing a Hindu event or a Hindu thing. I'm not an expert in that subject. I'm learning. Maybe I have taken a few steps into learning the process. For example, you're into not-for-profit social activism, social welfare. That's not my area. You have taken a few steps over there, but you're also learning. Now, how does that impact? I'm learning, but I'm not an expert. I'm trying to say something to you, and you don't trust me. where do I go, and how does the whole thing move forward?
Yeah. So that's a very good thought. So what I tell people is unity. Let's talk about unity. Unity is an ideal. That's where we want to be. So for example, people say, oh, we have so many idols in Hinduism. Why do we have idols that have different functions, different responsibilities? Because if you didn't have an idol or ideal, what would you look up to, right? People say, I want to be Shah Rukh Khan, I want to be Amitabh Bachchan. Oh, why? That is an ideal or an idol. But when it comes to Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman, they don't want, oh, it's religious. We don't want to be involved with this.
So what I understand from what you're saying is, I may have a path which might be different from your path, but I believe in my path. The least what I could do is to respect your path. And from respect, possibly unity might start.
Yeah. So the goal has to be the same. So if you think in Hindu unity is lacking amongst Hindus, and I think unity is lacking amongst Hindus, then we can get together and say, this is what our goal is, to unite Hindus. That's it. How we do it, how I do it, how you do it, you can disagree with me, I can disagree with you, but the goal should not be ignored or forgotten.
Now, I think what I'm going to say next may be relevant, could be relevant, is like, I talk to you. Do you think I as an individual, or I in the sense like I as a Hindu, I tend to respect, for example, a white person more than a fellow Hindu? You think that is something which is happening in
Oh yeah, 100%. That has been inculcated into us. That is why when it comes from a white person, we value it more than an educated or more PhD person who is Hindu or Indian. It doesn't have to be a Hindu. Any brown person or any South Asian person, we don't trust them. That quality has been inculcated into us. And now people start to realize, oh, sorry, we are also equivalently knowledgeable and educated, so please respect us. How can you expect respect from somebody else if we are not respecting each other?
Wow. That gene, what you said, wherein we have been brought up in, it has become part of our DNA, wherein we tend to respect, for example, a white man, with all due respect.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
We're not meaning in a
racially
differential way.
yeah,
Just being factual.
Yeah.
So that seems to be a huge hurdle among Hindus. Let's talk about Hindus because like we have another person who starts an organization. Do people feel motivated to come and say, hey, you started something, let me help you? That seems to be missing, right?
Oh yeah, all the time. If it's people or our community members tend to challenge. So for example, I have a friend who studied hoteling. He worked at one of the top hotels in India, came here and set up a restaurant, was doing very well. Somebody comes across and sees, oh my God, this guy's making a lot of money. Let me open a restaurant next door. But he has no clue how to cook. He doesn't have the knowledge that this person went through college or university, did experience. And so now what happens? He makes his restaurant fall and also the neighbor's restaurant fall. So this is why there should be healthy competition. I'm not saying there shouldn't be healthy competition. We have accountants who are all CPAs, CGAs, like that. So they're all educated, they're all knowledgeable. Their knowledge and experience might be different. The way they interpret things might be different. But again, CGA is their goal, CPA is their goal. That way, Hindu unity should be our goal. How we reach that should be written in front of you 110 times.
Wow.
All the time you should be only thinking, if the dream of unity doesn't keep you awake at night, that means it's not a dream.
No. Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah. So I think we have discussed for a few minutes. The key takeaway as I'm looking at is the absence of respect and trust for a fellow Hindu.
Yeah.
And that is coming in the way of Hindu unity.
Yes.
So this identical thing, if it is done by a white man, a Hindu is wanting to respect them and the same thing done by a fellow Hindu, for some reason, they don't want to respect it, they don't want to
appreciate. They don't even want to appreciate.
On the contrary, they try to challenge it, and that is a trait.
Yeah.
And that trait, as long as that trait is present, I think Hindu unity might be a challenge.
Yeah, I think if you look at some of the things that are the demographical changes that are happening back home or here, youngsters are getting more involved. So as I said, probably things might not happen during my generation, but I'm hopeful that the next generation will be able to do something, come together and bring unity and. So we all know these are individual fingers, but when
on that subject, like you're trying to be optimistic, trying to say that the next generation might not make the mistakes what this generation made. But what I also noticed is I seen myself witnessed here. I seen young people at colleges who start off in a beautiful way. They address, they understand the situation, they communicate properly, and they're able to navigate through this. Complex layers of anti-Hinduism at different strata of the society. But then what is happening is the seniors tend to influence their habits, their impose on the youngsters. And I have noticed a few youngsters who started off well, turning out into being a replica of the mistakes they...
Yeah, so that's a very good point. I think I've been approached by so many youth organizations. They say, oh, we have a youth group, but none of the Hindu boys turn up. So I always tell them, don't focus on religion, focus on spirituality. How can spirituality and being together help them in their education, in their job, in their family? This is what is important. If you religion is something that you have to accept. And it has to, people say politics and religion are personal because they don't want to discuss it. They don't want to talk about it in public, which is totally wrong. It has to be, if you believe in something, you should learn more about it and try to implement it and take it to the next level.
So I think many of our people also believe that just talking is taboo. Talking sensitive things is taboo. They are scared. I don't know what they're scared of. Even to verbalize routine developments in society, they are extremely scared. And I'm still I'm puzzled as to why is fear so deep in their minds that they're not even able to verbalize it. So just to summarize what we discussed, I think we can talk for hours.
Oh yeah, for days and years and months. Yeah.
So just to summarize it, I think the key thing for us is to start respecting each other. Respect the efforts the other person is. You may or may not agree with their path, but somebody has taken some initiative. And when the cause is important, automatically all differences should vanish.
Correct.
And I don't think we have the luxury of trying to pretend that everything is okay. Hindu space is being threatened, and participation and by the community is very important. And we can't push you. We can't find fault with you, but it has to be an internal awakening for you. And we are hoping that you would see this awakening in a positive note. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaste.